Many times when I'm sitting looking at Thomas Paine, he comes in some pretty outlandish outfits here. And one day I said, you're looking more and more like Carnac. He said, hey, let's run with that. So that's what we're going to do tonight for the Trump tweets, okay? So what we're going to do is I have a Trump tweet in my hand here, and I'm going to ask the great Carnac, what is the answer? And then I'll read the tweet, and then you will use your amazing cryptology skills and decode the tweet for us, won't you?
I'm going to put it to my third eye, contact the great Thunderbird spirit, just like Trump, and give you the answer.
Okay, so the first tweet, the answer is?
Eric Holder.
And the tweet reads, not surprisingly, the great men and women of the FBI are starting to speak out against Comey, McCabe, and all the political corruption and poor leadership found within the top ranks of the FBI. Comey was a terrible and corrupt leader who inflicted great pain on the FBI. Hashtag Spygate. And I will add that if it sounds familiar to you, it was from a tweet a day before that was retweeted. So obviously, we didn't get the right message. He wants us to tell you more about this tweet.
That's why we had to go deeper, and we had to go to the great Carnac's source of wisdom. So what is he really saying here, and why is Eric Holder? Because Eric Holder just came out and basically told the people in the FBI to resist Trump and to not obey him and to not be part of the congressional push for the DOJ and the FBI to tell the truth. This is hysterical. Why? Because of Spygate. Hello? As soon as they redact the first document that they want to see, which is the FISA justification, the justification for the FISA warrant, it is going to explode, because then we're going to find out who the spy is. One of the spies. Remember, there are multiple FISAs, so what he's saying here is this is huge. And he's also saying that, as Joe Geneva, like Genoa, like Geneva. So he came out and said that he's already spoken with 3 of these people and that they're ready to go on record. And so I guess these are the people. One of them is Joe Pienka, and the other one is a person I've never heard of. There's actually 2 people now whose other names have come out. We've never heard their names in any of these scandals yet, but I guess they must be, if not a white hat, then a gray hat, because they're coming out. They want to speak probably to save their own rears, but they are coming out and they're speaking. But as they're speaking, they're saying, we can't whistleblow because the people at the top are in the senior executive service and we can't get at them. They can fire us, we can't fire them. It's a completely twisted up system, and that's why they weren't speaking. That's what they've said when they do speak. And so Eric Holder had to come out and he had to say, resist, break the law, just like Sally Yates said. I'm going to resist the president as the acting attorney general. I'm going to resist his orders.
But then he would be an enemy of the United States, because this is a rogue army, really, of bureaucrats.
Eric Holder, as the Attorney General, was held in contempt by the Congress the first time that's ever happened. He is completely corrupt. Fast and Furious is now coming out after 10 years. He made sure that evidence didn't come out. And what he's saying is, leave the DOJ and the FBI the way it was when they didn't prosecute me. And when I was able to run everything in a corrupt system beautifully without anybody stopping me for years and years. That's what Eric Holder is saying. We know now that he's Obama's left hand. He is Obama's lieutenant. He is jerry-rigging Pennsylvania. He's jerry-rigging other states for the election. So I guess that's what the Thunderbird meant when it said Eric Holder.
Okay, and I'm going to take this to mean that anytime we get a retweet from T, now he is the real Donald Trump. He is the ultimate White House insider. So, we don't need any middlemen. That's why
we're doing this.
Yeah, he's the ultimate. And also to remind people, if you want to follow along with the tweets, go into the description box. There's an article link, and it'll have all of those tweets. And while you're there, you might want to subscribe to that little blog, because every time we do these, they'll be pushed out. So if YouTube doesn't notify you, at least you'll get another notice. Okay, the great Carnac, put that tweet up to your forehead, and the answer is?
This tweet here? Okay. The answer is Stephen Halper.
Okay.
Frames equals sets up.
Ooh.
This is a secret, mysterious clue.
All right, well, let's read the tweet.
Okay.
The Democrats are now alluding to the concept, well, it says actually to the concept, that having But you have to be careful because, Trump doesn't make mistakes. And so there could be a hidden reason that we would need a cryptologist like you to figure out why there were two thes there. Okay, the Democrats are now alluding to the concept that having an informant placed in an opposing party's campaign is different than having a spy, as illegal as that may be. But what about an informant who was paid a fortune and who sets up way earlier than the Russian hoax?
Oh, he's talking about, of course, he's saying that the guy who set it up ahead of time, and sets up means framer. That's what Stephen Halper was. He was a framer. He framed Papadopoulos. He framed Carter Page. He framed Sam Clovis, and he tried to frame Paul Manafort. Okay, so that's what he's saying. He's saying that Stephen Halper is not one, and he's saying there's two spies here as I read it now, just in sheer logic. There's two spies, at least. That's the reason he said the concept. Do you think he doesn't have somebody read these before he sends them out? You'd have to be stupid to think that. He's got he's got 4,500 people working for him. Do you think he doesn't edit these before he sends them out? The concept. We keep pointing out there's more than one spy. He can't say there's more than one spy yet because it isn't common knowledge.
Okay.
He can only deal with common knowledge. This is the least common denominator. So, okay, what did the great Thunderbird say? Stephen Halper and the framer equals sets up. Oh, so in quotation marks it says sets up way earlier than the Russian hoax. Russian hoax. They say happened in July. What did we say? Before that, the setups and the frame of George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, those were all before July. Oh, you see how deep these are?
And so it's very premeditated.
Oh, very premeditated.
So you can't say, oops, I made a mistake.
I said the twice.
No. Oops, I made a mistake. I may have committed treason. Oh, no, this was planned. Not only they were trying to set Trump up.
Yes.
This is amazing.
And he can't say what we're saying because that's not common knowledge.
Uh-huh.
That's why we can add to it, as well as the Thunderbird gives us insight on what direction to look for. I wonder if he's inspired by the Thunderbird. He's at least inspired by the Phoenix. Okay, I can't wait to put the next one to my head. Quick, what?
Here, there you go. Okay. Put it to your head.
The answer is John Podesta and Hillary Clinton.
Can anyone even imagine having spies placed in a competing campaign by the people and party in absolute power for the sole purpose of political advantage and gain? And to think that the party in question, even with the expenditure of far more money, lost all that, and she lost.
Betsy, you carry on with that so much. You sound as bad as I do sometimes. Now, this is just genius. This is pure genius. He can't say what he means to say.
But
so what does he say?
You to decode it.
It's beautiful, and we have the Thunderbird to inspire us. Okay, when it says, can anyone even imagine spies and placed in the... What is the competing campaign? That would be John Podesta and Hillary Clinton, as the Thunderbird told us. But what he's not saying, and what you always say is, tough luck, she's so bad they lost after all that. They spent $1.5 billion. Eric Schmidt spent $1.5 billion of his own money in usage service, and they lost. That's pathetic. What does he say here, folks? You must understand you're dealing with a genius. The people who've actually studied his thought patterns and his word patterning and the way he speaks in bites say he's got a higher IQ than anybody in our conclave and one of the highest IQs of any president ever. Now, let's go on. Competing campaign by, and then he names them, the people, I'll go back to that, the party, John Podesta and Hillary Clinton, the absolute power, what is he saying? Obama. There's only one thing that's absolute power that represents the people through a certain party that is also part of John Podesta and Hillary Clinton, and that is Barack Obama. In other words, he just called Barack Obama out on this one.
Okay, so folks, what you've just seen here is Thomas was taking that tweet and he was circling the important words that he saw in this tweet that were codes to him. And so what do I see here? You've got people circled, party, what's that?
Absolute power.
Absolute power. And was there anything else that was important in that?
Well, the competing campaign, he already names it. He says the Democrats.
Okay.
But when I'm reading the words from the Thunderbird, I have to put a blindfold over my eyes so that the burning letters can be read. Okay. Are we ready for another one? I'm getting excited.
All right, when you're ready.
Really? You ready?
Yeah.
Give it to me. James Clapper, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, and John Brennan. Whoa.
Quote, everyone knows there was a spy, and in fact, the people who were involved in the spying are admitting that there was a spy. Widespread spying involving multiple people, close quote, Molly Hemingway, the Federalist senior editor, but the corrupt mainstream media hates this monster story.
Okay, I get it. The tweet before, when it said the people, he didn't name the people. I assumed that was the people, we the people. I was incorrect. He named the Democratic Party, then he named the people, then he named the party and the absolute power. So he named Obama, he named Podesta and Clinton, and then he named the people. And then in the next tweet, he names the people. He doesn't name the people. We name them, though. The great Thunderbird has named those people. James Clapper, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, and John Brennan. They were part of the whole spying thing, and they're all guilty, and many others. But that the people would be them and others, and that they were involved, and it's now admitted. Oh, and who was the one who just admitted it last weekend? James Clapper admitted he spied on Trump for his own good and to save him from those evil Russians. And of course, he's quoting Molly Hemingway because he does that anytime that somebody says something even more succinct than he does. And so it's great, you know. It's from the Federalist, senior editor. Corrupt mainstream media hates this monster story. The corrupt media, wait a second. Wait a second. They don't hate this story. I'm going to have to correct this. Molly, you're incorrect. Hemingway. I'm sorry. But he had to go with this because they called it a monster story. I'd rather call it Spygate. It is a monster story, but they're actually reporting the negative parts of this now. The very people who were paid through Fusion GPS to have the, what would you call it? The lessons with Christopher Steele and Glenn Simpson and Bruce Orr teaching the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CNN, BuzzFeed, Yahoo News, Mother Jones. They were all literally being propagandized and being brought into the counterintelligence operation and being paid to do so. So there are many people that the mainstream media is now going against them. And the reason they are is because they're guilty and they have to throw somebody to the wolves.
Well, I think also the word monster it's a horrific story, and it's going to show that the media was complicit in all of this. So this is a story they don't want to come out because it's about them too and their corruption. All right, you ready for the next one? Will you put the tweet up, or do we need to take a moment?
This is very draining to contact the great spirit. No, but I think let me just kind of. Let me do that kind of spiritual breathing, like Johnny Carson used to do. Remember? He would do that. Okay, I think I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Hand me the next one.
Okay, what is the answer?
The answer is Dem say, bomb Kim. Go animals. Bigger taxes.
Democrats are so obviously rooting against us in our negotiations with North Korea. Just like they are coming to the defense of MS-13 thugs, saying that they are individuals and must be nurtured, or asking to end your big tax cuts and raise your taxes instead. Dems have lost touch.
I believe that since Trump has come to power, that Nancy Pelosi has announced the apocalypse and the end of all times because of Trump and said that everything was the worst it ever had been. She wants to raise taxes, right? So this one's very, very clear. I can see this. They do want... They're sad that Trump was going to get a peace prize. And what did we say? Oh, don't worry. Give it 48 hours, right? Remember when we said that? Don't worry about it. And but they're saying, bomb him now. And they're saying, go animals. That's the MS-13s, right? And bigger taxes. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Can you believe anybody could come out before an election and say, we want to take back all those silly, insignificant tax reductions that have actually saved our economy, and we want to create bigger taxes?
When you call out the Democrats as being rooting against us, you have to say that the us is the U.S., is the United States, Americans. And it's becoming more and more obvious that the Democrats are not pro-American. I would go so far to say that many of them are showing to be anti-Americans. Are they American? Are they patriotic? What is the word I'm looking for?
Patriotic. And do they believe in the Republic, or do they believe in the corporatocracy? Do they believe in just corporate support that pays them to run their campaigns, keeps them in their jobs? And notice that they've ignored DACA, and now they're trying to slip by some DACA deal that nobody even knows what it is. They've ignored the borders. They've bashed taxes. They've bashed the deals that have saved us $10 trillion that Trump have come in. They bashed everything good. So basically, what do they have to left stand on? Nothing. So what are they using? They're using the phrase of the Republicans, drain the swamp. They think that they can turn that around and say they're going to drain the swamp of Republicans. Well, they're both sides. It's a uniparty, okay? So drain the swamp of all of the uniparty, but that just shows their complete bankruptcy, the Democrats. It's so sad. Let's go on to the next one, because that one's so obvious it doesn't need any.
Here you go.
But
Put it up to your head.
The answer is, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. Bitch slap dictator. I can't wait to read this one. Okay, go ahead, Betsy.
Okay, very good news to receive the warm and productive statement from North Korea. We will soon see where it will lead, hopefully to long and enduring prosperity and peace. Only time and talent will tell. And
talent refers to himself, because we told you that this wouldn't last 48 hours, didn't we? We told you that he was bitch slapping a dictator who thinks he's a divine god and thought that the second that he said it was all cool, it was all cool. Wrong. Trump is going into this slowly because of the collapse of their nuclear facility already. And also what I didn't mention last time we talked about this, which is not from the Great Thunderbird. This is because Kim wanted to charge upwards of $100,000 per person who was going to come there to be an inspector to look at the fact that he was closing things down. In other words, he was going to make millions of dollars by inviting the whole world in to see that he had just blown up that whole mountain with his absolutely half-cocked, pathetic nuclear attempts at trying to become a nuclear leader. And so, bitch slap dictator, yeah, I guess that's exactly what Trump did. Okay, I shouldn't have said that out loud, Kenny. Can you say the B word online?
I don't know, but here's the last tweet folder. Okay, put it to your envelope. What are you feeling, Great Bird? What do you call yourself, Great Thunderbird?
America.
Okay.
The Indians worship the Thunderbird.
Well,
and this is the flaming Thunderbird. This is the year of the Phoenix, because there was a great eclipse directly across America.
Of course.
All the way. It was like amazing. One of the biggest eclipses. Yeah. And it was right on Trump's ascendant.
And that's why we chose that for the front of our videos, now. But YouTube had me take it down because they say it's a copyright infringement. I'm going, you've got to be kidding. I paid for that. I have a receipt and everything, So now I have to wait for the strike to come off for that video to be lifted. So this one didn't have the great intro. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Okay, but that's why we chose the Firebird theme. Okay, what's the answer?
Give it to me. The answer is, I am the commander-in-chief and you aren't.
Nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Okay, that is one long tweet.
It's about going to the Naval Academy.
Yes. And
no, we can jump right to that one. The Naval Academy, each person who runs a ship, they have to answer to the president like every ship could create a nuclear war by accident, okay? So when he's at the Naval Academy, he's talking to people who are going to be running nuclear ships. These people swear their lives and an oath of allegiance to the president as the commander-in-chief. But don't forget, he's also the chief law enforcement officer, which makes him the head of the DOJ. So when Eric Holder comes out and says that the DOJ shouldn't obey the president, he is their leader. He is the head of the DOJ. He is the head of the FBI. He is the head of the CIA. He is the head of the NSA.
And let's not forget that the DOJ is part of the executive branch and their boss is Trump. The Democrats went to great lengths over the last few years to get Americans confused about where the Justice Department fits into the government structure. Many people think that it is like supposed to be outside of the executive office, kind of as a watcher. No, folks, it's not. It's a part of the executive branch, and Trump is the boss.
And he brought up MS-13 in one of those drops because he had brought in MS-13 families that had been affected by their animality, by their less than humanness, which is part of their cult. And he then said that he was going to charge El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico for these gang members that are coming across the border who are already here and send them back. And if they don't take them, then he was going to reduce their aid by, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then he said that as they come across the border, he's going to capture them and charge those countries. Because how did MS-13 get all the way across Mexico and nobody noticed these guys who were tattooed from head to toe? Okay, so what we're dealing with here is day after day, it gets deeper and richer, each of these drops, because he is all the time congratulating people. For instance, he went to see Melania, and while he did, he went over to I think it was a hospital for soldiers, and he met some of them and said, "Hey, come see me at the White House anytime." So they did, and so that was just one thing he added to his day, seeing these people. This is a guy who'll stop, the presidential motorcade, to say hi to some people and invite him to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. All right, Betsy-Ed McMahon. The last message from the great Carnac and the great Thunderbird in the sky, the flaming Thunderbird, is too much winning.